Look, if you're a general contractor or home remodeler and you haven't tried ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini yet, you probably at least know somebody who has. And if you have tried it, you probably notice something pretty quickly. It's impressive. It can explain things. It can help you draft stuff, answer questions, make you sound more professional. But if you actually tried to use it for a real estimate or a real schedule, you might have run into a wall. Today, I want to show you and kind of explain why that is. And more importantly, I want to show you what the better path looks like. This isn't a general AI video. This is specifically about how AI works and doesn't work for contractors like us. Here's what's actually happening in the industry right now. A growing number of contractors are starting to use these AI tools, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. They're asking these tools to help them think through estimating, build checklists for job sites, draft proposal language, structure project schedules. And honestly, it's working, kind of, for some things. The contractors who are figuring this out first are getting an edge. They're moving faster. They're sending more professional materials to clients. They're not spending 3 hours on a single estimate. But here's the catch. And this is the thing that most people aren't talking or thinking about. Most of them are actually doing it the hard way. They're fighting the tool instead of having the tool work for them. So I heard somebody recently put it this way, and I think it's just perfect. Using a generic AI tool for construction is like using a Swiss Army knife to frame or build a house. It technically works, it's just not the right tool. And that's the whole thing right there. So I want to explain what I mean by that. So let me walk you through what the actual workflow looks like when a contractor tries to use a generic AI tool. 2 quick examples here. Let's start with estimating. So you open up ChatGPT, you ask it how to make your estimating process more efficient. It gives you a decent answer. So you ask for a step-by-step breakdown. It gives you 9 steps. Now what? You have to copy all that into a Word doc. You have to figure out which of these steps actually apply to how you work. And then you still have to do the estimate yourself from scratch. So next, let's talk about scheduling. So you ask Claude to build a project schedule checklist. It makes one, sure. It looks pretty good, decent. Then you notice it mentions the 8 flows of lean construction, but there are only 7. So you know this because you've been doing this for years. You have the experience. So of course you correct it, it apologizes, it fixes it, and you still have to move that checklist into your actual scheduling tool because it lives in a chat window, not in your actual project. So that's a big pattern here. Every single output requires your expertise to verify, your time to figure out the right prompt, and your effort to make it somewhat, more useful. The tool never takes anything off your plate. It just gives you a slightly better starting point for the work you are already going to do yourself. So I want to tell you something that I heard that really stuck with me. Somebody was given advice about AI productivity recently, and they said this: put a Post-it note on your screen to remind yourself to use AI. And I remember thinking, that's a problem right there. Think about the tools that are actually baked into how you work. Your phone, your truck, your tape measure. You don't need a reminder to use any of those, right? It's just like human nature. You reach for them automatically because they're the fastest path to getting the job done. Generic AI requires you to remember to open a separate app. It requires you to know how to phrase the question correctly. And that's what prompt engineering is, by the way. It requires you to verify whether what it gave you is actually accurate. And then it requires you to manually transfer that output into wherever you actually end up doing your work. So that's 4 extra steps every single time. The question isn't whether AI can help contractors. Of course it can. The question is, why are we making this so complicated? So what does this look like when it actually works? When the AI is built into the tool, not bolted on top of it. So with generic AI, you ask it how to estimate. With Handoff, it builds the estimate for you. With generic AI, you describe the job in a prompt and hopefully it interprets it correctly. With Handoff, you upload a photo or a floor plan blueprint and it does the interpretation. Now with generic AI, it uses national average pricing, which might be right for some markets somewhere, but probably not yours. Now with Handoff, it uses your local zip code pricing updated every single day. Now with generic AI, you verify the output and manually copy it into your project. With Handoff, the output is already in your project because it never actually left. And with generic AI, you're constantly correcting construction errors because it doesn't actually know or understand construction. Handoff was trained on over 100,000 completed residential project estimates. Handoff doesn't replace your expertise. It already has it built in. So let me make this really concrete and for us to understand this. Here's how the actual workflow looks. Step 1, you do the site walkthrough. That's it. Take photos, note the scope, talking to the app. You're already doing this, right? This is part of your workflow. Step 2, you upload it right into Handoff. It's already right in there. So you just drop in your photos, floor plans, or just describe the project in plain language. No special prompting, no engineering of any kind. And there's no specific way you have to phrase it. Just tell it what the job is, like you'd be explaining to a subcontractor. Step 3, the AI builds the estimate using real-time local pricing, updated daily by zip code, backed by over 60 million SKUs. And your markup rules are already built in from what you set up in your account. So you're not entering your margins on every single estimate. And step 4, you review, adjust, and send. The average time contractors spend on an estimate in Handoff is 21 minutes. Your competition is still at their kitchen table with the spreadsheet open. And when you send it, it goes out as a professional proposal, not some PDF that you played around and formatted yourself and spent time that you don't really have on. A real proposal that looks like you run a serious operation, because guess what? You do. I want to talk more about how to use AI in your actual workflow, because this is how it's going to benefit contractors. Estimating is the obvious one, but let's talk about what happens after a client signs, because that's where a lot of our time goes. So you've got a signed contract. Now you have to build a schedule. And if you're doing that with generic AI, here's what that ends up looking like, probably adding more time. You open a chat window, you ask for a checklist. You spend several prompts refining it. You correct the errors, of course, you format it, and at the end, it still lives in your chat or a Word document, completely disconnected from your actual project. But here's how scheduling works in Handoff. The moment a client signs, accepts that proposal, Handoff already knows the scope, the phases, has all the materials, everything, because it literally built the estimate. So it doesn't ever start from a blank page. It starts from everything you've already built together. It lives in that project. It auto orders phases the way an experienced general contractor would. Demo before framing, rough in before drywall. You're not manually sequencing dependencies. You can tag phases to your lead, your sub, your foreman. Everyone sees what's theirs. So no second version of the schedule. No group text trying to figure out who's doing what. And you get a single calendar view of every single active project. You can see conflicts before they hit the job site instead of dealing with them the morning everything's supposed to start. No prompting, no correcting, no copying into another separate tool or app. And I want to talk about something that comes up a lot when contractors first use generic AI for construction work. Generic AI is trained on everything, which sounds great in theory, but it means it's not actually an expert at anything. It's a generalist. And in construction, generalists cost you money. The easy mistakes you catch, the lean construction principle that's slightly wrong, the process that's out of order, you catch those because you're experienced and you know better. But what about the pricing errors you don't catch? The material quantities that are slightly off because the AI is working from national averages instead of your actual market. The regional labor rates that don't match what the subs are quoting you. Those errors go into your bid and they usually come out of your pocket. So you either lose the job because you're under, or you win the job and eat the margin because you're over. The moment I always think about is when a contractor corrects ChatGPT on something and the AI responds like this: "I apologize, you're correct." That moment literally tells you everything you need to know. It knows enough to sound confident, but not enough to be reliable. But Handoff was built differently. It was trained by over 100,000 estimates from real projects, 60 million SKUs tracked across major construction suppliers, pricing updated daily for every city in the US, local cost data priced by zip code, not national averages, supplier-backed data from Home Depot, Lowe's, and other regional distributors. When Handoff estimates a bathroom remodel in Phoenix, it's not guessing, it knows. All right, here's where I want to zoom out for a second. The problem with generic AI isn't that any individual output is unreliable. It's that you're using a different tool for everything. You have ChatGPT for an estimate, Claude to build a checklist, your email to follow up on a lead, your spreadsheet to track payments or invoices. Nothing talks to anything else. And every time you move information from one place to another, it's a chance for something to get lost, delayed, or just not done. The cool thing is Handoff connects all of it into one system. It's your AI teammate that knows the full history of every project, every client, and every dollar. So you win the work. AI estimates in 21 minutes. Professional proposals sent same day. Automated follow-up so no lead goes cold while you're on the job site. You run the project. AI scheduling from your estimate. Daily logs tied to the project. A client portal for documents and approval so your client isn't texting you constantly asking where things stand. You can get paid. Invoices generated as milestones complete. Clients approve change orders and pay in one click, and you get a notification the moment something is opened or signed. You protect your margins, your rates, your markup rules, your change order process locked in across every estimate, whether it's you writing the bid or somebody you just hired. And I want to address something directly because I know what some of you are probably thinking. You might be thinking, oh, this sounds good, but I'm not a tech person. I don't want to learn a bunch of new software. I already tried one of these tools and it just wasn't for me. It didn't stick. Here's the thing. The barrier to using Handoff is much lower than you might think. You don't need to know how to write a prompt. You don't need to understand AI or what's doing in the background. You need to be able to describe a job, which you already do that every single day, multiple times. And I don't want you to just take our word for it here. Benjamin, a construction manager, said Handoff has turned his 3-hour estimates into 20-minute estimates. He gives a project scope, adds any plans and pictures, and the whole estimate gets built for him. And then there's Glenn from Glenn & Sons Remodel in Denver. He won a $10,000 job with Handoff in his first month. And then we have Todd from Go Home LLC in Virginia. Said Handoff is like taking a 1,000 pound weight off his chest. He was so frustrated with estimating, he was ready to give it up entirely. And EJ Element out of San Antonio landed a $118,000 remodel in his first month from first contact to signed contract in under 24 hours. On average, contractors using Handoff earn $5,250 more per week, save 14 hours a week, close 40% more deals, and add $85,000 to their annual profit. Guys, these are not tech guys that I just talked about. They're contractors, they're remodelers. They're not doing anything complicated. They're just using the right tool. All right, let's wrap up this video. I want to leave you with 3 things. 1, generic AI is a starting point. Construction-specific AI is a competitive advantage. There's a difference between a tool that can help you think and a tool that actually does the work. Handoff does the work. 2, Handoff handles estimating, scheduling, change orders, and payments, all connected, all in one place. You're not switching between 5 different apps. You're not moving information manually. Your whole back office is in one system. And 3, if you can describe a job, Handoff can estimate it, schedule it, and help you get paid what you're worth for it. That's the whole thing. You don't need to be an expert at AI or some prompt engineer. You just need to run your business. The best GCs over the next few years won't be the ones who learn to work with these generic AI tools. They'll be the ones who had the right AI working for them the whole time. If any of this landed with y'all, here's what to do next. Go to handoff.ai, start your free 7-day trial, no credit card required. It's available on iOS, Android, and the web, so you can use it on your phone, on the job site, or on your desk when you get home. More than 10,000 contractors have already switched. They stay because it keeps winning them work. The next bid you send, try doing it in Handoff. See what 21 minutes feels like compared to 3 hours. See what a same-day professional proposal does for how clients see and perceive you. Handoff.ai, the free trial is there. Use it on your next job. You know what's crazy? Most contractors are still running multi-million-dollar businesses through text messages, paper notes.